day everyone, this is Jikiri Muin presenting a discussion on Module 6 to 8, a topic about local arts and understand ways to preserve and protect the cultures of the different indigenous community in the Philippines. Local arts and understand ways to preserve and protect the cultures of the different indigenous communities of the Philippines. Local arts. When we say local arts, this is very familiar to us for every Filipino. The local arts are those artistic activities serving a given city, town, or region. They exist within the community as two artistic sectors, the arts of the local economy and the arts of the local culture. So, ang ibig sabihin, ang local arts ay ang mga masisining na gawain na or aktibidad na nagsisilbi sa isang particular na lungsod, bayan o rehiyon, kung saan umiiral ito sila sa loob ng komunidad bilang dalawang sektor ng sining. Ang sining na lokal na ekonomiya at ang sining ng lokal na kultura. The arts of the local culture. The arts of the local culture are those artistic activities and works dedicated to the service of the local culture. The arts of the local culture are rooted in the civic resources and values of a given city or region. These resources include regional history, local demographics, and creative business. The arts of the local economy. The arts of the local economy are those local commercial and non-profit arts enterprises focused on the presentation of popular entertainment and national touring venues. This sector of the local arts is evaluated and funded through their contribution to the local economy. Moving to my next point, why should we preserve the Filipino culture and tradition? So, bakit nga ba kailangan natin i-preserve ang Filipino culture and tradition? Ito ang mga kasagutan. Preserving Filipino culture and tradition is important to maintain the country's unique identity and heritage. Filipino culture is a rich blend of indigenous, Spanish, American, and other foreign cultures, and it is important to preserve this diversity for future generations. It's just like similar to why one should keep a surname. Preserving your culture and tradition as people is a way for you to connect with your racial roots and cultural identity. Your language, your ethnic dressing, your native cooking, your songs and dances and myth, your cultural behavior, your writing, etc. are what draws others in curiosity to find the richness of your culture. Your essence as a person is rooted into all this behavior.
Hi everyone, my name is Sergeant Pim Rapuensis. So Mu and Jikiri have done reporting and discussed to you why should we preserve the Filipino culture and tradition. So my assigned topic is all about how to preserve the Filipino culture. There are so many ways to preserve one culture, like holding cultural activities giving emphasis the culture. Another ways is to include them in the school curriculum to make sure that children will learn their culture. So next, I will share to you the do's and don'ts to preserve the Filipino culture. In those, first, observe hierarchical relation determined by age and status. Showing respect is a core part of Filipino culture and is often demonstrated through speech. Second, show an interest into the well-being of your Filipino counterpart's family. In the Philippines, family is an important component in an individual's life. Third, acknowledge your counterpart's education in English proficiency. Many Filipinos are fluent in English. Avoid talking to them in overly simplified English, as this may be interpreted as patronizing. Fourth, smile when meeting people. Filipinos are renowned for joyful people who try to show warmth where they can. And lastly, number 5, compliments people's efforts and hospitality for Filipinos. Hospitality is an essential component of interactions, and they will often go to extreme lengths to be hospitable to their company. So, we're going to move of don'ts to preserve the Filipino culture. So first, approach question about income standard of living or things that would often be considered personal in Australia with sensitivity. These topics are not always welcome in discussion. However, it is not uncommon for Filipinos to ask questions relating to age, work, and level of education to ensure they address you correctly in future interaction. Second, avoid directly criticizing the Philippines as a country. This may not be well received, and criticism from a foreigner may be interpreted as an insult. Third, do not publicly display sign of anger, raising your voice or shouting in front of those older or superior to you. Any confrontational of aggressive behavior may bring hiya, shame, or embarrassment, tarnishing your reputation. And lastly, fourth, try not to be offended if your Filipino counterpart makes comments about people's body shape. So, that's all. Thank you.
So good day, ma'am. So by the way, I am Shima Husin. So for today's video, I will discuss about the National Cultural Heritage Act of 2009 or the Republic Act 10066. This is a law or Republic Act of the Republic of the Philippines. It creates the Philippines Registry of Cultural Property and took other steps to preserve historical buildings that are over 50 years old. It was signed into law on March 25, 2009, and it was passed in response to the 2000 demolition of the Manila Jail Alley building. So, this cultural heritage is really important because it gives an irrefutable connection to the past, to certain social values, beliefs, costumes, and tradition. They allow us to identify ourselves with others and deepen our sense of unity, belonging, and the national pride. So, in short, kaya meron batas tungkol sa cultural heritage dahil konektado ito sa nakaraan at hanggang ngayon. So, as you can see in the screen, there's one example of the cultural heritage, which is the rice terrace, are a showcase of the complex method of farming employed by the native Ifugao. So there's a lot of examples here in Zamboanga City, like the Port Pilar, the Iyakan Village, and also the Boy Scout and the Tree House. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning to each and everyone. My name is Munira Ali and ito po yung continuation ng report ni Shima. The National Cultural Heritage Act with the designation of Republic Act number 10066 is a law or Republic Act of the Republic of the Philippines. It created the Philippine Registry of Cultural Property and took other steps to preserve historic buildings that are over 50 years old. It was signed into law on March 25, 2009. The Philippine Registry of Cultural Property registers all cultural properties of the country, which the National Commission of Culture and the Arts is mandated to establish and maintain through the appropriate cultural agencies and local governments. So, ang Philippine Registry of Cultural Property ay nagre-rehistro ng lahat ng cultural property ng bansa kung saan ang Pambansang Komisyon para sa Kultura at Sining ay pinag-uutos na itatag at panatilihin sa pamamagitan ng naaangkop na mga ahensyang pangkultura at mga lokal na pamahalaan. A house that has significant importance to the Filipino culture is declared to be a heritage house by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, previously known as the National Historical Institute. Historical markers are placed on the houses by the Commission to indicate their significance. Ancestral homes that have figured in an historic event, house such as the Bonifacio Trial House in Maragondon, Cavite, or House of the National Heroes of the Philippines like the Juan Luna Shrine in Badoc, Ilocos Norte are included among the categories. Ang isang bahay na may makabuluhang kahalagahan sa kulturang Pilipino ay dineklara bilang bahay na pamana ng Pambansang Komisyong Pangkasaysayan ng Pilipinas sa dating kilala bilang National Historical Institute. Ang makasaysayang marker ay inilalagay sa mga bahay ng komisyon upang ipahiwatig ang kanilang kahalagahan. Mga ancestral home na naisip sa isang makasaysayang kaganapan, bahay tulad ng Bonifacio Trial House sa Maragondon, Cavite o house ng Pambansang Bayani ng Pilipinas tulad ng The Juan Luna Shrine sa Badoc, Ilocos Norte ay kasama sa mga kategoryang National Shrines o National Historical Landmark. Ang batas ay nagtatag ng isang komisyon sa pambansang pamana ng kultura which is na may tungkulin na kilalanin at magdeklara ng mga kagamitan sa kultura at siguraduhin ito ay protektado at pangangalagaan. Ang komisyon ay mayroon ding responsibilidad sa paggawa ng mga patakaran at guide para sa pamamahala at pangangalaga ng mga kagamitan sa kultura. Itong batas na to ang nagbibigay ng mga parusa para sa mga lumalabag sa batas. Kasali na rito ang multa at pagkakakulong. Nagbibigay din ito ng mga insentibo para sa mga individual at organisasyon na nag-aambag sa pangangalaga at proteksyon ng mga kagamitan sa kultura. Ang batas na ito ay isang mahalagang batas na naglalayong protektahan at pangangalagaan ang kultura ng bansa para sa mga susunod na henerasyon. Nagpapahalaga ito sa kahalagahan ng kultura at naglalayon na ito ay protektado at pangalagaan para sa kapakinabangan ng lahat.
A pleasant day to each and everyone. So, this is the continuation of the report of Munaira. So, the Natural Cultural Heritage Act of 2009 or Republic Act 10066 requires that for cultural property declared as immovable cultural property, the appropriate cultural agency shall, after registration, give due notice to the Registry of Deeds having jurisdiction for annotation on the land titles, and that local government units, through their cultural offices, shall likewise maintain an inventory of cultural property under its jurisdiction and shall furnish the Commission of a copy. So, sinasabi dito na ang batas na ito ay nagre-require sa mga cultural property na na-declared as immovable cultural property o yung mga cultural property na hindi basta-basta na iaalis o natitinag dahil pinoprotektahan alinsunod ng batas ay dapat bigyan ng notice sa Registry of Deeds na may jurisdiction or authority para sa annotation or note sa mga titulo ng lupa. At nagre-required na sa pamamagitan ng local government units, cultural offices, it shall maintain o mapanatili ang inventory or list ng cultural property under authority at dapat na magbigay sa komisyon ng kopya nito ng listahan o inventory ng cultural property. Yun lamang po at maraming salamat.
That all the government agencies and instrumentalities, government-owned and controlled corporation, including public and private educational institutions, shall report their ownership or possession of such items to the patient cultural agencies. So, sinasabi dito na kailangan muna mag-report or mag-submit ng such as permit na kinakailangan ng mga government agencies. And kailangan nila mag-report ng mga kinakailangang i-process such as papers that is need to be processed para sa mga granting of need nila or yung mga
Hi everyone, by the way, I am Duri Sagusal. I am from the group 6 and I will discuss to you the act defines the cultural properties. Cultural properties ay isang batas kung saan tinutukoy nito ang likha ng mga tao na may kinalaman sa ating kultura. Ito yung mga gawa ng mga tao na may kinalaman sa ating mga paniniwala. Halimbawa dito ng mga cultural properties is yung mga churches, mosques, and other places of religious worship, schools, and natural history, specimens, and site. It's either public or private owners, movable man or immovable. Movable means ito yung mga properties na naililipat. For example is yung artwork, pwede siyang ilipat sa ibang lugar. Immovable means hindi siya nagagalaw. For example is yung churches, structures. Kasama din dito yung tangible and intangible. Tangible means ito yung mga properties na nahahawakan. For example is yung sculpture. Intangible means hindi siya nahahawakan. Example dito is yung oral tradition ng mga tao and performing arts. Ito yung mga buildings na medyo hindi siya bababa ng 50 years old. As presumed importance cultural properties despite non-declarations by cultural agencies.
Hi ma'am, my name is Ella Jones Lakinon. This is my report. Nonetheless, the government mandate all local government unit to register these premium important cultural properties to the database of the National Communication for the Culture and the Arts of Cultural Documentation and Conservation. Means all cultural properties of the country deemed important to cultural heritage shall be registered in the Philippine Registry Cultural Property, establishing a registry plays a crucial role in the identifying and providing information on all available cultural resources. Public, land use planner, property owners, and the tourism industry. And addition registered is the increased awareness and facilitate the protection and conservation of cultural property. Number 2, the citizen retain the ownership of the house. The government is only declaring the heritage value of the structure and providing funding for its protection and prevention, providing an arts of protection and conservation of a NCCN and its associated cultural agencies for other purposes, ensures effective coordination among the concerned agencies in order to avert the diminution, depletion, and destruction of country.